Good morning, everyone in the platform.
Good morning, my
Good
coach.
morning. Can I request the iPad to rename his or her gadget so that we know who exactly is he or she? Thank you.
iPad left the building.
Makabuye azinike igama elihle.
Morning, Kosi. Morning, Kosi.
Morning, Case.
And morning, Constance.
Amen. How are you doing? You're ready for the first event.
Recording in progress. Recording stopped.
Un poco fusumbus deve prendere fusumbus non si. Lo passei in guerra. Sì, guerra. Yeah, mas about that, fine. Ora ngicabanga ukuthi bathanda
Good morning, colleagues. Can you unmute yourselves, please?
Sorry, I'm not
It's Honorable Gamede.
me too,
Member Gamede. Good morning, sir. Can you mute yourself? Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, Casey.
Morning, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
I was just telling you to mute yourself, but it's fine. Thank you.
Oh, okay. How far did you hear my conversation with my wife?
All of it, Honorable, all of it.
Okay. No, it's fine.
Recording in progress.
Morning, honorable members.
Morning, Jen.
Morning, Chair. Good morning, everybody.
Are you?
Good morning, Chair. We are good, and how are you?
I'm fine. Are we ready to start?
Yes, Chair, we are ready.
It seems today, Chairperson, all of us are on the road, so it will be better if we just go without videos. I'm looping.
We are looking. All right.
Arna metsi rona supported.
Aso tlapi.
Se ke tlape check, se le ke tsoga bile ke aena.
Okay. Where is the whip? Where is Honorable Ditebe? I don't see him on the platform. Okay. Let's have the agenda flighted. Yes, honorable members, there is the agenda. The meeting is officially open and you are welcome. Let me welcome our visitors from SIU, the delegation from the department. I see it is led by the DG. I haven't seen the minister or the deputy minister on the platform. I see the DG and the DDGs. I see Mr. Khanyago. How are you, Mr. Khanyago? I'm told that
Advocate Mutibi is also in the platform, Chair.
Oh, advocate. Good morning, advocate. You're also welcome.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. And do we have a delegation from HDA, Secretary?
Yes, Chairperson, we do have Hoshingove in the platform.
Okay. Good morning, host.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, honorable members and the advocate and his team. Thank you. The DG as well.
Thanks very much. There is the agenda. Can I get a motion for the adoption of the agenda?
Chairperson, I move for the adoption of the agenda. And then I would also like to indicate that I will be standing in solidarity with the GBV protest today at 12 if our meeting goes beyond 12. It's for 15 minutes and I will then log in back after that. Thank you, Chair.
All right, thanks very much. There is a motion to adopt the agenda. Can I get a seconder?
Chairperson.
Chair. Margaret's the apologies.
Yes, we're still adopting the agenda.
Okay, Chairperson, can I also place my apology, please?
I'm not yet there. I'm
okay.
Still considering the agenda.
Okay.
Seconded, Chairperson.
Thanks very much. An alternative view? Nothing. This is the agenda that will guide us for the rest of the meeting. We're on item 3, apologies. Secretary?
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to everybody in the platform. Chairperson, I've received apologies from the Minister and the DM. The Minister is having a family matter that she needs to attend to, and the DM is bereaved. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks very much. Honorable Gamede?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Mine is we are having an unveiling at home, so I'll be, I think after 12, I will then ask to be released, Chairperson.
Why don't you invite us?
I'm sorry, I sent the invitation to the secretary. Okay, thanks, Chair.
Honorable Karakilo?
Chairperson, I don't have any apology except that I'm not going to open my camera. We don't have water. Thank you.
Okay. Secretary, you'll also note the apology of Honorable Frenchman, but I hope by 12 we'll be done. If we're businesslike, I think by 12 would be done. We're now on item 4. Let me once more welcome everybody on the platform. Our apologies that we have this meeting on a Friday, and most of us, I guess, will be traveling. But because of your commitment, honorable members, we thought it prudent that we have this meeting so that we deal with this item. Welcome the leadership of SIU. Why we requested this, after the president signed the proclamation of whatever in HDA as per the proclamation, we felt it necessary that as a portfolio committee, we need to be briefed a bit about this investigation by SIU. We know that SIU will be investigating issues that happened some years ago, but we felt as a portfolio committee so that we are able to know, be briefed about these investigations. We are not necessarily requesting that you go into issues that will compromise your investigation, but just to give the committee a briefing so that we are comfortable as you continue with your duty of investigation. As a committee, we are also briefed. We have invited the leadership of HDA. We have invited the Department of Human Settlements, because HDA is an entity of human settlement, and because we are a portfolio committee of human settlement, therefore the entity reports to us. So we thought we would need to be briefed a bit about this investigation. I'm now going to invite Advocate Mutibi, I guess is the leader of the delegation, to take us through. Advocate.
No, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair and honorable members. We really appreciate this opportunity to present to the Honorable Committee. And we are agreeable, Honorable Chair, that from time to time, the Portfolio Committee can really make a call to be updated on the investigations. Let me also acknowledge the Director General of the department and the leadership of HDA. Just quickly, Honorable Chair, I'm joined in this meeting by my colleagues. Mr. Lekgeto is the Chief Operating Officer. He oversees the investigations in the SIU. And then Advocate Vanara, who's the Chief Legal Counsel. He ensures that, amongst others, ensures that the outcomes that come from these investigations are legally sound and we can pursue any recovery to the special tribunal or defend any matters in the high courts. Then we have Ms. Kwesibe. She'll be doing the main presentation relating to the investigations. She's the Chief National Investigating Officer. These investigations fall under her directly. Then we've got Mr. Khanyaho. I hope now he can hear and respond. Chair, you tried to greet him. He's the Chief Stakeholder Relations and Communications. He's also the spokesperson. And then there's two specialists that are joining us that are really doing the lead. Is Mr. Shonisani Rabambi. He's the forensic legal specialist supporting the investigating team on the ground. And then we've got the lead investigator, forensic investigating specialist, Ms. Eunice Ghana. So those are the colleagues that are joining me, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, then we will proceed. The first few slides really give a background about the SIU. I will, the committee obviously can then read through that. There's just one slide I want to spend a few minutes on. It's on slide number 7. Oh, this is really just the outline of the presentation. If you can go to slide number 7, please, or maybe slide one by one. Sorry, Jack, go back. Yeah, without going into details, this is what we really stand to achieve in terms of public integrity and really a corruption-free South Africa. And we would like to do that based on the mission and the values that we are showing. You can go slide on. Functions of the SIU. This is something I'm sure that the committee is familiar with. All the functions that are stated in the SIU Act. And then the next slide is about the powers of the SIU. These are all the powers, of course, that an investigating authority like us would require, and all of those are stated in the legislation. Slide number 7, that's where I would like to spend a few minutes on. So this is about the SIU outcomes as we investigate. And we also refer to it as the consequence management. I mean, as the Honorable Committee would know, that we're really driving hard to ensure that all those who are involved, account, and there's consequence management, whether it's officials, private sector companies, and everyone that's involved, including professionals. Now, on the left-hand side, this is the civil process that we follow. If the investigation points to any losses that the state, the department, or HDA would have suffered, we then pursue the civil litigation route. We would institute proceedings at the special tribunal to make sure that we recover the losses that the state would have lost. Of course, as we do that, in the process, we've got the legal authorization to freeze assets and ensure that when we ultimately complete the litigation process, we've got assets that we can recoup the recoveries from. So this is the civil litigation part, but of course, it depends on the findings that the investigators do. But it will not kick on until the investigation is done based on evidence and findings are made. Now, the second column there around the disciplinary process, in the same way, where there's wrongdoing found by the investigators and it points to officials, we then send to the accounting authority or accounting officer, as the case may be, so that action can be taken. We give them evidentiary material so that they can work on that, and we support them either by our investigators testifying in the disciplinary process and so on. Now, in the middle is now when we really refer the matters to be dealt with by the criminal justice system. The extreme left was civil justice, and the middle one is now the criminal justice system. Now, in terms of the law, when SIU finds evidence that points to criminal action, and we'll point out if up to now there's been any of those kind of findings. By law, that evidence has to be sent to the NPA so that they can consider either to prosecute or not to prosecute. In instances where there's further investigations required, they do rope in the DPCI, the Hawks, and of late, the IDEC. And then the next block is referrals to regulatory authorities. When we find that there's infractions that professionals or regulatory areas that have been committed, we refer those professionals to their professional bodies. We refer any infraction, for example, if there's infractions relating to VAT or income tax and so on, we refer to SARS, Competition Commission, and other regulatory. Those are just some of the examples. And then, of course, a very important part that the public and public representatives have really been calling on is that we are really not, doing enough in terms of ensuring that the companies that are involved are blacklisted, so that they are restrained from doing business with the state, and not just the companies, but the directors as well. So we just put that on the extreme right so that the honorable members can see that we're really prioritizing that now. At the bottom, that line that runs across, this is really what differentiates us from other law enforcement agencies. It's because we are able to work with the department or HDA in this regard to say, these are the weak points or weaknesses that we picked up as we investigate, so that ultimately the administration can be improved, and the ultimate objective is to prevent the recurrence of these incidents. We've got a division here at SIU that focuses on prevention. So once the investigators have come across these weaknesses and they document them, you'll see there's systemic recommendations in the presentation. They'll hand them over to the prevention team, and the prevention team will work with the department or the agency to then build up a prevention plan. We're really pleased with this, that it actually encourages state institutions to really focus on prevention, which is something that we're really going to step up on in the years to come. Thank you very much. The next slide is really around the resources that we have. In fact, the skills that we employ, amongst others, in doing our work, without going into detail. The forensic data analytics is something that we've built up recently, so that the analytics can either support the investigators or support the prevention team. Forensic accounting, we've built up forensic accounting capability as well, because in the process, there is a huge need to ensure that the numbers, when the teams go through their balance sheets and income statements of companies and so on, we really require this forensic accountants, and they've come in and really improved in our investigations. And then, of course, we've got the forensic investigators. I spoke about civil litigation, and then the forensic legal. The other one that we really are continuing to improve on is the cyber. The cyberspace has been used by those who commit wrongdoing to commit these acts. And we believe now that we've really cottoned on to them. We're able to seize any gadget. There is no information that can be hid. We're able to uncover. And the cyber forensic team really is doing very well. And of course, we collaborate with other state agencies. Right, and the next slide is really just for information, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, too. This is the process that is followed from the time we receive allegations to the time we commence investigation. As the Honorable Chair has said, that the President signed this proclamation, R265 of 2025, authorizing SIU to investigate in this regard. So we've got a tight governance process that governs this process, so that amongst others, we guard against fishing expeditions, as they would say. Once allegations are received, we go through them rigorously so that we are certain that they fit the prescription of the law and that there is merit in investigating them. So really, as I said, this is for the information of the honorable committee. Now, the proclamation is signed now, and I'm going to head over to Mr. Sive to take the committee through. It will take you through the background of the proclamation and then what is the status of the investigation. I need to just mention, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, that we've had the opportunity to present to HDA and the department, the DG and the Minister. So in her absence, should be aware of the status of the investigations. Thank you very much. I'll hand over now to Mr. Sive. Over to you.
Thank you, Advocate Matubi. Good morning, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, DG, HIU and colleagues. Next slide, please. Okay. As the SIU, as already alluded by the HIU, we received some allegations relating to the Department of Human Settlement insofar as HDA is concerned. The allegations were to the fact that the Provincial Department of Human Settlements would transfer funds to the agency with an instruction to buy an earmarked land parcels. And the agency will then enter into negotiations with landowners. 3 evaluations in respect of the land in questions will then be obtained. The first valuation is usually provided by the landowner, then of which then the agency will then source 2 additional valuations. So the valuations sourced by the agency are meant to be compared to the landowner's valuation to determine the competitiveness and or reasonableness of the landowner's prices. So in terms of the allegations, it was then alleged that the agency obtains the 2 valuations which are grossly inflated in order to manipulate the purchase price that the Provincial Departments of Human Settlements pay for the land in question. It was further alleged that the inflation of the valuation is done at the instruction or through the influence of officials of the Provincial Departments of Human Settlements. The purchase price is then negotiated with the landowner based on 3 valuations. Then the landowners, they will usually sell the land parcel at a price that is closer to the agency's grossly inflated valuation. Then a middleman is then introduced at some point in the transaction, purportedly by the officials of the agency and or the Provincial Department of Human Settlements in question. Then the land purchase agreement is drafted to include the middleman's commission, which at times is calculated at a percentage twice or 3 times higher than the purchase price. Then the conveyancing firm is then appointed to attend to the necessary transfer of the land. Then the agency will then pay the conveyancer the inflated purchase prices. Then other than the payment to the seller upon registration of the transfer of the land, it was alleged that it is not clear whether the middleman or anyone else involved improperly in the transaction are paid from the funds held by the conveyancer. It was also not clear from the allegations whether the land parcels purchased from private sellers are subsequently transferred to the state. So the other allegations were that purchases are concluded based on only 2 valuations. The land purchases at prices which were in excess of the lowest valuation, and in some cases the valuation and the purchases were poles apart, with the result that the purchase price did not appear to be at the best interest of the state. Those were the allegations. So I'm on slide number 12 already. Ms. Lehat, can you move? Can we then go to the next one? We've dealt with the allegations. Slide number 13, sir.
I'm sorry, just to open your video, if you don't mind. I think Parliament would like to see your face.
I'm not sure whether I'm visible, Chair.
Yes, you are visible. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chairperson. All right. Okay, I'll continue, Chairperson. On the 30th, then on the 30th of May 2025, we received a proclamation R265 of 2025. However, in terms of this proclamation, there was an error in terms of the attachment of the annexure that I'm going to go through now. And then that led to then the erratum notice to be published on the 9th of June 2025. Then the mandate then of that proclamation is that we are required to investigate serious maladministration in connection with the affairs of the Housing Development Agency and 8 provincial departments of human settlements, which I will then summarize as departments. This then, the only department that is not listed in the proclamation is then the Limpopo provincial the Limpopo province, Chair. So what we are then expected to investigate, we are investigating the maladministration in respect of the identification, the acquisition, the holding, development and release of state, communal and privately owned land as listed in the Annexure A, which was then omitted in the first publication for residential and community purposes by the agency in its own name or on behalf of the provincial departments that were listed. In the main, the issues are then we will then investigate these transactions, the processes in terms of these transactions that were not fair and competitive, transparent, equitable, and cost effective, which were contrary to applicable legislation. Number 2, we are also instructed to investigate any irregular, improper, or unlawful conduct by the applicable service providers of the agency and the departments, or in relation to the allegations or any other person or entity as set out in paragraph 1 above. So those are that chair then becomes then the mandate of the SIU. Next slide, please. Then I'm now dealing with the annexure to the proclamation, Chairperson. The annexure A of the proclamation lists at least 201 transactions that are to be investigated across 8 provinces. The provinces are listed as Mpumalanga, Gauteng, Northwest, Free State, KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape, Western Cape, and Northern Cape. Then amongst the list of transactions, the SIU identified that others are listed as municipality transactions, which saying them will be tested through then the list that will be sent by HDA. If I may pause here, Chairperson, and indicate that after receiving the proclamation, we then met the agency, which is HDA, to understand and to get the process flow. And in our engagement with HDA, we were then informed that in most instances, the provincial departments, they don't engage HDA on these transactions. There are some that would be dealt with by the agency, but some will be dealt with by the provinces and the respective municipalities. So in that instance, then we requested then the agency to provide us with all the list of land parcels that they have been engaged with, and the list then was submitted to us on the 11th of November, and we've assessed then that list, and then I will then deal with then all the land parcels that were dealt with by the agency in my follow-up slides, Chair. So then can we move to the next one, because I've dealt with this one. Then, Chairperson, the summary of the distinction received from the HDA and the role of each organization in the transaction would then be determined. So Mpumalanga, Free State, and not all the provincial offices, the spreadsheets were supplied. And in terms of the transactions that were received, we focused on the financial year 2016-2017 to 2021-2022. The list has, amongst others, the field that shows the parties, funders, and transferees, which will then assist us in assessing some of them the roles that were played by different institutions. Some land acquisitions were funded by municipalities, others by HDA, and others by the departments themselves. Next slide, sir. Then I deal with the list that we received on the 11th of November. From the list, we have the number of transactions, Chairperson. The first column deals with the province. The second column deals with the number of transactions listed in our proclamation per province, and also the number of transactions in terms of what the information that was supplied to us by HDA. So we are trying to identify the role that was played by HDA in some of these transactions. For the Mpumalanga office, there are 2 transactions that are listed in the proclamation, and 2 are in the spreadsheet from the HDA. However, there is no role that was identified as having been played by HDA in the spreadsheet that was supplied. The spreadsheet lists three main parties. It will be then the parties, the transferees, and the funders. Those will be the roles in the spreadsheet. However, in the spreadsheet itself, there is no role in terms of then the Mpumalanga office. So in both Eastern Cape land parcels, which are 2 in the proclamation, which were then found in the information from HDA, HDA is listed as a party. And then the Northern Cape province, there were 5 transactions that are listed in the proclamation. We also found then the 5 from the list that was supplied from HDA. In two of those transactions, HDA didn't have any role, but in three of them, they were listed as a party and as well as a transferee in two of the three that were listed. Then for the Western Cape province, there were 16 land parcels, and also in the spreadsheet, we got 16. However, in those ones, 15 of those, HDA is listed as a party and a transferee, and in one of those, they have no role. And then in the Free State, we had 17 matters, and in terms of those matters, HDA only participated in 16, and one HDA had no role. And then in the Gauteng province, there were 25 transactions, and HDA is listed only on 9 and listed as a party on those transactions. 16 of those, they had no role. In the Northwest province, there were 37 transactions in our proclamation. We have only identified 25 in the information that we received from HDA, and all of those 25, HDA didn't have any role to play in those matters. Next slide, sir. Chairperson, we are busy negotiating with HDA because we want to understand the reasons why they played no role in terms of these land parcels, the transferring and the valuations of these land parcels, since that is their key function. Now coming to the issues of the challenges that we've experienced, Chairperson, the annexure to the proclamation includes transactions and valuations that were administered by other provinces. So not only HDA dealt with these matters, but the evaluations were conducted solely by HDA, as well as those in which the HDA provided technical support and assistance. But the entire process was dealt with by the provincial departments. It is also the proclamation now, it also encompasses transactions and valuations that were carried out independently by the respective provincial and municipalities, the provincial departments, as well as municipalities. Part of the funding model operates through allocations that are administered under the applicable division of Revenue Act, which is DORA, which by implication includes then the involvement of the National Department as part of the funding and the oversight role as per the DORA framework. Then the accounting officer chair, if I may just pause a little bit, the accounting office of the National Department is responsible for the transfer of the grants and also the allocation. This places also the responsibility of monitoring and oversight for the utilization of these conditional grants at the door of the National Department. Then the current proclamation, Chairperson, does not explicitly reference then the National Department of Human Settlement. So then the need for a comprehensive breakdown distinguishing the transactions that were managed directly by HDA from those that were managed by the provincial departments. So that is the exercise that we've embarked on with the HDA currently. And then such clarity is also is necessary to determine the appropriate processes in terms of our administration and the billing and the associated costs relating to the ongoing investigation in this instance. We are also, Chairperson, looking at maybe amending the proclamation to include the national department and also some of the municipalities that dealt with their land parcels without then the involvement of the HTA. Next slide, sir. Chairperson, now if we may just deal with I will summarize this slide, Chairperson, because our investigation is still at an infancy stages. We had a lot of administrative issues that we had to deal with. However, in the next 3 months, we will be able to at least show some traction in terms of these matters. At the moment, there were a lot of administrative issues that we were dealing with. In the main, the entire project is at the execution phase. We have now issued some of the notices for document collection in the respective offices, as indicated in that slide. For the Northwest Province, Chairperson, we issued our request in terms of our 52A for the submission of documents relating to the 32 identified transaction. In response, the agency then confirmed that it is in the process of compiling and packaging the documentation pertaining to the individual transaction across all the matters that were proclaimed. Then in Gauteng, Chairperson, also we are at the execution phase. The SIU, we requested also information from the department. The procurement files from Gauteng Department of Human Settlements, as well as then the HTA. We received these files, Chairperson. The conveyancing file from the conveyancers in respect of the transfers, also we received the first file in terms of that one. The information from the respective deeds office, that is Gauteng South and Gauteng North, we are in the process of analyzing the entire batch of information, and also we are finalizing our process affidavit from the HTA, which will then inform the entire process of this investigation across all provinces. Then members are preparing to conduct site visits to establish if the acquired properties do exist, and then to further establish the nature and extent of the properties, and if the properties are being utilized for the intended purposes that they were procured for. For Free State, Chairperson, next slide, Mr. Head. For Free State, we are also at the execution stage. We have requested certain documents, and then we are receiving some of the documents, and then we are busy with the detailed review and analysis of the received documents. And once we have made some kind of finding, we will then be able to report properly. And then same as the Western Cape, the documents are being packaged. Then the other provinces, Chairperson, except for the Eastern Cape, are in the planning phases, where we have now issued 52A notices for the request. But in the Eastern Cape, we have received most of the documents, and they are currently under investigations. We've already identified the persons of interest, and then the primary site inspections were conducted. The first batch of bank statements were received, then they are pending analysis, then interviews are being scheduled in this instance. So basically that is our status, Chairperson. I will not go into the summary of findings, which is the few slides that the 3 slides that are following the slide. If you can just move to slide number 27, Ms. Lekhetho. Reason being, Chairperson, there is nothing at this stage. The investigation is still at infancy stage. In terms of our observations, we've made observations already in terms of what we have been provided with. In relation to the annexure or the list of transactions that is part of our annexure to the proclamation, Several transactions were administered solely by the municipalities, some by the provincial departments, and some by the provincial departments, but the valuation is paid for by the HDA. However, this will be tested by the SIU and might constitute then an amendment to the proclamation insofar as municipalities and the National Department, as already alluded to, is concerned. In relation to the funding model of this transaction, some transactions were paid for by the HDA from their budget. Some were paid for by the provincial departments from their own budget. Some are administered through DORA and some are not, Chairperson. These will be tested by the SIU, and this may also constitute some kind of amendments to the proclamation, as already indicated, to include the National Department. Next slide, Mr. Lekgetho. So in terms of our SIU Act, as you are aware, Chairperson, when we do our investigations, we build the institutions that we investigate. So we are determining some of this so that we then are able to proportionate the costing of then these investigations. The next one will be then, Chair, sorry, Mr. Lekgetho, can you go back? Okay, without creating any expectations, Chair, in the interim report, which is still being in the process, we can report that the price of land has alarmingly risen from lower pricing to overpricing. Those are observations that we have already made thus far. Then the land that was purchased, it's currently not being used. Then go to the project summary. Thank you. Chairperson, this is just our administrative process where we then classify a project for the purposes of project managing it and also setting out the timelines for the investigation. The project has been classified as a complex investigation in terms of our internal processes, as already indicated by the head. The case director in this matter is Ms. Eunice Garner, and she's assisted by the legal lead, Mr. Shonisani Shabambi. From the provincial departments, then the provincial heads as well as the head of investigations in the provinces are leading from that end. Then we anticipate, Chairperson, that this investigation will be finalized and concluded by the 30th of June from all provinces, and then we anticipate that our presidential report will then be submitted at that stage. Next slide, please. So, Chair, these are the challenges that we've already discussed in my first slides. I don't want to repeat myself in terms of this. It's mainly the risk in terms of those transactions that were administered by the municipalities, and we are currently now trying to reclassify and rescope in terms of then the processes from the department side. So we are going to look at then redrafting and regenerating our internal processes for the codes under HDA and then the provincial departments, and these issues then have been discussed with the Department of Human Settlements. Next slide. In conclusion, Chairperson, the investigation in terms of this proclamation are 265 has commenced, although there are some challenges that needs to be addressed. We are busy executing at different levels of provincial offices. The meeting arrangements with HDA to understand their processes, and also with the department to understand their processes is underway. HDA has submitted, as already indicated, the list on the 11th of November, which has now been considered. Chairperson, then that concludes my presentation, and I thank you.
Thanks very much.
No, thank you, Honorable Chair. That's the presentation. The team is on brief to ensure that we meet the timelines. As the Honorable Chair and the Honorable members can really see, it's a very wide investigation covering almost all the provinces, and there's now this dynamic of the municipalities also being involved, and now because of the legislation regulating the municipalities, we would like to make sure that we point out accountability at the right level. So that's why my colleague says it might necessitate the amendment, so that we particularly point out to the municipalities. But we'll see as the investigation unfolds whether the accountability is at a provincial level, and of course we believe that it is the province that submits. I think what's called, when we met with the DG, they submit the business case. So it's going to be very important to really identify, sort of who to point to. And then in terms of the observations at the end with regard to lower pricing growing alarmingly, of course the team would have made that observation after going through the documentation that they are sieving through. But of course, at the next appearance, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members, on the slides that indicates the findings, we should then be able to say what are the findings and what are the outcomes, and specifically quantify the extent to which the pricing has been alarmingly inflated. So at this stage, we really do appreciate the opportunity. We can take any questions that the honorable members may have.
Thank you very much, Advocate. I think now, as the Portfolio Committee, we have a better understanding of the proclamation and the direction the SIU wants to take. And we appreciate that the commitment from the Advocate that they'll continue briefing us on progress, so that as a committee we're able to do oversight. Maybe before I give to honorable members, can I get a comment from HDA and the department? Chairperson, HDA.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I don't know what's happening with my gadget. It's not allowing me to show the camera. It says the Zoom would like to access the camera, but yeah, I think it will show me now. Thank you very much, Chair. And thank to the presentation by Advocate and the team. Maybe just up front, Chair, just to make a disclaimer, if you see us as HDA not actively participating today, is that we are just fresh from the meeting with SIU, the very same team that is here today, just last week. So we engaged and we were satisfied about the presentation and the processes that they are undertaking. And suffice to say, Chair, that we have fully committed ourselves as an organization, because they met with us as a board, as the full board, including the minister and the DG and the team. But we're fully committed that we will be on standby for any cooperation that they will require from us as the board and as the entity for them to execute the proclamation to the fullest. So we don't have any further comments, Chair, or questions, because we have dealt with everything that we were supposed to get clarity from the SIU just last week. So thank you very much for now.
Thank you, Chairperson. Allow the DG, if you have a comment. DG?
Good morning, Honorable Chair, and good morning to the honorable members of the Portfolio Committee, to the head of the SIU and the team at the SIU, and my colleagues in the department and in Parliament. As we had indicated, our posture all the time with investigations of this nature is that we do not interfere in any way, nor do we comment at all on the investigations as they ensue. And therefore, even with that posture, we have been declining media inquiries and related aspects pertaining to that. Safe to just point out that the minister unequivocally supports the investigation whenever lawful investigations are undertaken. We support that, and we will cooperate fully with the investigation and support the SIU in its quest to establish the veracity of the allegations and the facts that are being presented, and to aid them where necessary and where only we are required by invitation to support their work. We will do so without any shadow of doubt. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chair DG. Advocate, I saw in your provincial categorization, you have put Mangaung under Northwest instead of Free State.
Honorable Chair, if that's the case, it's an error. It's an error on our part. We need to correct that. Thank you very much for noting that. And the team, please, Mr. Sibe, if we can please just correct that. Otherwise, we'll create a legal risk, Honorable Chair. Thank you.
Thank you
for that. Yeah.
Honorable members, do you have questions? Otherwise, we wanted to understand we wanted just a briefing so that we understand how SIU is going to execute the proclamation. They are still busy with the investigations as per the report, but they are committing to brief the committee on a regular basis once they are at a stage where they are able to present their findings. Our interest is that HDA reports to this portfolio, and would definitely have interest in knowing how far it is affected, especially together with the provincial departments of human settlement. I don't see a hand, advocate. It seems members are content with the presentation. They now understand where SIU is going with this investigation. I think whenever... Okay, I see one hand. Honorable Ditebe.
Good morning to you, Chairperson, and to the Minister if she's here. Chairperson, I'm on oversight elsewhere in the Free State through another committee, so pardon me. So, and indeed to the DG, the head of the SIU and his entire team, colleagues, members on the platform, all our support staff, staff from the department. Chairperson, I'd like to know, I know you insist that we switch on our camera, so I'll just do that briefly, Chair, and then switch off again. Thank you. Chairperson, I'd like to know, I heard in the presentation that the entities that are under investigation by the SIU, be it the HDA itself, the provincial departments, and as stated here, for example, that an amendment will be effected in the proclamation to include the national department and in some instances, municipalities. Now, I'd like to know, and I think that's standard practice on the part of the SIU, but just with respect to the broad spectrum of the investigation, it's been described as very complex, complicated, etc., and we understand because it straddles basically all three spheres of government, national, provincial, and local, and indeed as well as our own entity, the HDA. What I'd like to know, Chairperson, without preempting the findings, if, say, in municipality X or province X, official X is found to have been instrumental in what seemed like a contrived campaign or a conspiracy to lower the prices, for example, of parcels of land, so that then later on those could be sold off or be acquired, even if not sold off to third parties, etc., at a higher price. Now, if such people are out of the system, be it at a municipal level or provincial level, etc., what then happens in that respect for purposes of the methodology of the SIU? My understanding is that they pursue civil litigation. They will either come to an agreement with the affected party and say, let's sign an IOU agreement of sorts, or they might have to go to court and attach assets, etc. So how then does that play out, where there are all number of other officials spread across the three spheres of the three administrations of the three spheres of government, just for purposes of recovering the money? Before, Chairperson, I conclude, let me also say that investigations that the SIU conducts with the understanding that the law of natural justice is followed to the letter, we always support. In their previous appearance before the Portfolio Committee, I quoted what the former Deputy Chief Justice Dikgamo Seneke said in one of the orbiters while focusing on the Hugh Glenister case of arms, the so-called arms deal, etc. So I think they need to be assured that members of parliament appreciate the work that they do. And indeed, in some instances, our own entities may be hamstrung, but if that's what the law says, that they must comply. And I'm thinking here about the work that the HDA must do with the mega resources it has, at its disposal in other instances supporting the upgrade of informal settlement. But the law is the law, and indeed we must all abide by that. And we hope that by the end of June next year, they'll be ready with final findings because they've told us that they will be going back to amend the proclamation. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
You, Honorable Abada.
Good morning, Chair. You can't see me. I don't know why. And I have taken off my video.
We're seeing you.
Are you seeing me? Okay. I'm going to switch off the video then. That's not showing me. I can't see it. I just have one comment and a recommendation. Good morning to everybody on the platform, our support team, my fellow colleagues, to you, Chair, and the entities that are present today. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for taking accountability. And thank you for allowing us to now have a better understanding of what your procedures are. But I just have one comment actually, which is, and I have to say this, the land bought years ago remains unused while families continue to live in shacks, fire-prone informal settlements and unsafe conditions. This is institutional betrayal of the poorest and most vulnerable communities. And, Chair, we always speak about the humanity of our people and the dignity of our people. And it's just heartbreaking to know that we have land that we're not using, because that's our fight all the time, that there is no land. But here we've purchased land and we're not using it for what we should be using it for. So, I had to say that. And then with regards to my recommendations, I know that they're going to do the audits and they're going to do the investigations, but here again, I have to say this, a full forensic audit and lifestyle audit, lifestyle audit of all officials involved in land acquisition processes, including HTA executives, provincial officials, municipal managers, and valuation service providers must be instituted immediately, with criminal referrals where applicable, and secondly, suspend with immediate effect again any official linked to transactions involving inflated valuations, unused land, or middleman commissions pending SIU outcomes. Accountability cannot wait for 2026. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. I'm requesting to switch off my camera. We're having a bit of electricity interruptions. Good morning to the colleagues and the guests that are here today, in particular SIU. Thank you very much for the presentation that you have given us this morning. More importantly, that you have kept us abreast with what is happening. And it is a concern that there's an investigation of a criminal syndicate that is happening within government that is ultimately taking out money from state funds by inflating prices. It's very much concerning, and we support the investigation of SIU fully for them to find out the truth, and so that there are systems and mechanisms that are put in place to ensure that should criminal elements find themselves and rear their ugly heads into the department, they are adequately found and consequences thereafter are done. But I just want to know from SIU, how much of the investigation is relying on whistleblowers, and if there is mechanisms that you have in place for their protection, if there are any so far. because we have seen with the other cases that are taking place in other spheres of government, particularly the Department of Health. We've seen with recently Parliament, in fact, had a debate speaking about the protection of whistleblowers, citing the deaths, the most recent being an auditor in the city of Ekurhuleni. So I want to know, with this particular investigation, have you identified whistleblowers and are they protected? And have you guaranteed their protection with any information that they will divulge into this investigation? The second question would be, since this is classified as complex, does SIU have the sufficient budget to work on the case, and you won't have challenges amongst the other challenges that you've listed in your presentation? Can you give us the surety that also the budget to ensure that you effectively execute your duties? You won't have any constraints of finances, and you ensure that the job that you are given the responsibility for is adequately and fully done. And then third and lastly, I note that there are 8 provinces out of the 9 that are there. What could be the reason that KZN is not listed? It could be that they have not been outlined, you have not found something. And if there are any more municipalities, it doesn't have to be KZN in particular, but if you find that there are more municipalities and provinces that are involved in this matter, will there then be an amendment of the proclamation, or the proclamation that we have now as is, it stands the way it is? I just want clarity on that. Is there room for amendment for the proclamation? But other than that, Chair, I think it's very important that we do emphasize that we support that this investigation must be thorough. It must be done in a timely manner as well. We don't want to find ourselves having an investigation that goes on for years without any conclusion. And then on the part of HDA, finally, as I conclude, the report also speaks about a list of transactions that the HDA was expected to submit. I think it was the 11th of November, or they submitted it on the 11th of November. What could be the reason for the delay in delivering reports to SIU? And I hope that, because we don't want to accuse anyone of obstructing an investigation. So it's very important that we must emphasize in this meeting that when SIU wants a report and they give a timeline for those reports, our expectation as a portfolio committee is that those reports are submitted duly and on time. And if they are not submitted on time, there must be adequate reasoning why they are not submitted on time, so that we don't accuse anyone here of obstructing the investigation. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. Last one, Honorable Gamede. I thought you were...
Thank you very much, Chairperson, and I'm glad I was able to comment before I move from where I am. No, Chairperson, the complexity introduced by the involvement of the municipalities and the ambiguity regarding the role of the National Department of Human Settlement, it is indeed a significant systemic challenge that risks complicating and potentially delaying the investigation. The observation that transactions were administered by the municipalities and provincial departments, and the funding model involves the Division of Revenue Act, DORA, implying that the Department of Human Settlements involvement, while the current proclamation does not explicitly reference the Department of Human Settlements, presents an immediate risk to investigations, completeness, and the accurate proportioning of cost among the implicated institutions. The SIU's proposed next steps to testing these observations and potentially recommending an amendment to the proclamation, and potentially recommending an amendment to proclamation are therefore critical and should be executed urgently. My question, I'll only ask one question on the integrity of the land valuation process. Given the core allegations that the SDA allegedly sources two grossly inflated valuations to manipulate the purchase price that provincial department pay for land, and that some purchases were based on only two valuations. What specific systemic controls are now being recommended or implemented by the SIUs or the Department of Human Settlements to fundamentally reform and safeguard the independent and fair nature of the land valuation and acquisition process for state-funded housing projects, specifically addressing potential coalition between landowners, middlemen, and agencies like department and also departmental officials. This addresses the root cause of all these allegations of the maladministration. I would like to stop that, Chairperson. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Advocate, we're in your hands.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. For the insightful questions that are also just, amongst others, indicating the expectation of the Honorable Members and of course, by extension, the expectation of the public. So we take that to heart and we will ensure that the investigation produces the appropriate results and outcomes. Honorable Ditebe, thank you very much for the questions, insightful as always. You indicated the issue around the national department and municipalities, and I want to now really draw a parallel to what Honorable Kamede has really indicated. If the proclamation is not amended urgently, it's going to really indeed agree to present a risk to the proclamation, and we've identified that already. So we will be as proactive so that the processing thereof is speedily to assist the investigation. We don't want to come back to the portfolio committee and still say, we're waiting for the amendment and so on, when we became aware of it on time. Now, and thank you for this scenario, Honorable Ditebe, that you have sketched out. And I would like Advocate Vanara to also just add on, because this presents a scenario that is asked widely by public representatives and the public in terms of those officials who commit this act of wrongdoing, and then they leave the system. Some of them rock up in other state institutions and so on. But in case where they are outside of the public system, and Advocate Vanara can add on in terms of the litigation process, because we always say leaving your employment should not really exonerate you in legal consequences, such as criminal prosecution, civil litigation, where you've contributed to the losses of the department. So Advocate Vanara, please make a note so that you can add on here in terms of process. How is it that, in the litigation space, they get cited and so on. And thanks for the reference to the Glenister case, which we ensure that in terms of that concept of stay concept, we want to really make sure that we are always compliant with that, and make sure that we really produce fair results supported by credible evidence. I think that's very, very critical. And in the process, ensuring that the laws of natural justice either espoused in administrative law or any other field of law. We'll make sure that we follow that. Of importance is to ensure that when findings are made against anyone or any entity, they are given appropriate opportunity to respond before the findings are finalized. More often, that part is not attended to appropriately, and then the cases fall short when we ultimately litigate. But we've really done that over the years, and most of our cases really are successful. And the success rate at the last check, we were in the above 90% in terms of our success rate for cases that we have put up forward for adjudication. Honorable Abada, thanks for the comment. As you would have picked up, this is the focus, amongst others, of the investigation. We've actually even made an observation already that some of the land that we have looked at as part of the information we have are not being used that they should be used for. And indeed, that is a worry from the service delivery perspective. So we are going to make a pronouncement as part of the findings around those areas to understand that if this land was supposed to be used for a specific purpose, why is it not being used? Who should have made sure that it's used for that purpose? And if not, then that person must be, or persons must be held to account. So we do take that into account. The issue around lifestyle audits, and not speaking on behalf of the DG, DG and Minister have been proactive in this regard. They've actually started a process where SIU is conducting lifestyle audits, and I'm sure we'll review the scope thereof, or the DG and Minister will review the scope thereof as we go along. But we do agree that the lifestyle audits that we have conducted across government have actually shown that they can be an effective tool in terms of the prevention side, right? If we do this and do this well, it is able to point out, risk indicators, whether it's corruption risk indicators or maladministration risk indicators, and then the department is able to act on time. But amongst others, is also able to point out to those individuals or employees that are not fit and proper to be in their roles, and in which case the departments and entities have to act accordingly. Yes, including all of those actions that follow: suspension, the disciplinary process, and so on. Right. Honorable Dlamini, yes. In many instances, you've mentioned the health space and various other sectors as well. We found that syndicates have made it their duty to infiltrate public sector. And we are aware of that. We are also incorporating, as we investigate the organized crime strategy, we look at indicators that indicate that this is organized crime, these are syndicates, to ensure that we don't leave out anyone. And it's really worrying, but it is our duty to make sure that we uncover these syndicates and take them out in terms of consequence management. Right. So Mr. Sibe, if you can just be ready, please, to indicate which aspects or how much, as Honorable Dlamini asks, how much of the investigation relies on whistleblowers, right? Now, on the protection side, which I can offer a response, my colleague can also add on. Once we find that there is a whistleblower that requires to be protected, SIU has built up a capacity. We've built up a capacity over the years to ensure that we do have witness protection, whistleblower protection capacity. As members would know, the witness protection sits in the NPA, and there's a line between whistleblower and a witness. It doesn't always follow that the whistleblower will become a witness. And as a result, this line was creating an issue that whistleblowers would not be protected under the witness protection program. Then we built up the capability, and of course, the public also made a hue and cry. Civil society saying government is not doing enough to protect whistleblowers. And we are aware that, our legislation has also been pointed to in terms of not being sufficient. And that is why the work done by the Department of Justice to review the legislation to ensure sufficient coverage of whistleblowers. But as we do our work now, and we find that there's whistleblowers that require protection, we do have the capacity and the infrastructure to protect whistleblowers. And of course, in terms of the budgeting, we have found that over time, this is one of the high cost drivers. But I've said to the teams here that this is about protecting life. We have to do all we can, even though we can indicate, as we account on the financial accounting, that these are the cost drivers, including protection of whistleblowers. And I would also add protection of investigators. This has become such a vulnerable area that those who are committing this act of corruption and so on are really, really intended on ensuring that those who investigate them are at risk. Honorable Dlamini is right. Now we are seeing the auditors now being at risk, and the lawyers. We've seen the lawyers in the insolvency stage. Is it insolvency? I'll come back to that with the right term. But they are also at risk. So we do have the mechanism. So as part of the investigation, the investigators would have to identify those whistleblowers to ensure that they are aware of the protection and ensure that they are protected. Right. On the budget, on the investigation budgets, we do have the resources, but of course we have identified that given the proclamations that are being signed, and given the reports that we receive, we have seen such a spike in the reports from the public and a spike in the proclamations. So that says to us, we need to really continuously look at the resources and the budgeting. And we have raised this with the Portfolio Committee on Justice and Constitutional Development. We will be raising it with the Minister and the President so that we can look forward that this is what we're going to need to ensure the sustainability of SIU and the effectiveness of investigations. But for now, we've got the resourcing plan that ensures that investigations are resourced appropriately. As you might have seen in one slide indicating the resources for this investigation. Although these are sort of the high-level resources, there's investigations across provinces. As you can see, this investigation has got footprints in almost all the provinces. Yes, there's a question that was asked in terms of one of the provinces that is not included and what could be the reason. Mr. Siwe, if you can be ready to answer that one. So, Mr. Lekgetho, time permitting, Honorable Chair, I'd like our Chief Operating Officer to come in and demonstrate, based on the question of Honorable Dlamini, how is it that we are resourcing the investigations in spite of the constraints in the budget that we are seeing. At the moment, we are able to execute, but we would like our shareholder representative to know and take it up, and the portfolio committees to know that going forward, these are the budgetary requirements of the SIU, and then hopefully, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members will be able to show that to you as well when we appear on next time. And we are expecting a support to ensure that we continue to investigate and churn out the results that are expected by the public. We agree, Honorable Dlamini, that we do not want investigations that go for years. That is a thing of the past. We have now categorizations of investigations and the timeline for each categorization. And the teams are on brief that we need to conclude our investigations as speedily as is expected by the portfolio committee, by the public. So that is something that is, top of the matters in terms of the investigations. In terms of the delays in submitting reports from HDA, I'm sure my colleague, Mr. Siwe, can indicate if she's knowledgeable on that. Right, and then Honorable Kamede, municipalities and national departments, I think I've covered that. Amendments to the legislation, we are agreed that we need to process that as proactively as possible so that we don't wait. And then what are the systemic recommendations for now? And I think Mr. Siwe can take that one, where the investigations have made any systemic recommendations. Okay, I would like to start off then with Advocate Vanara on that point around those officials who have left the system. How is it that we ensure legal accountability?
No, thanks, Chair, and good morning to the Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. I did get the indication from the Chair that ideally those who speak should have their cameras on, and it is for that reason that I've switched on my camera. The consequences for officials who cause financial losses to the state and decide to leave. So I'm going to deal with different scenarios in the response that I proffer. But firstly, Chair and Honorable Committee members, it is important to make this point that our recoveries are not self-help, are regulated in terms of the law. And through civil litigation proceedings, when we recover, we either go to the special tribunal or the High Court for these recoveries. When we go to either of these forums, we identify the contributors to financial losses occasioned to the state. And these contributors would include current and former officials, as well as external role players. Once we've identified the contributors, we then cite them in the papers that we issue in either of the forum we would have chosen at the time. And the reason to cite them, it is to give them and afford them an opportunity to respond to the allegations we make against them, so that the arbiter, the judges either in the special tribunal or the High Court, would make or come to a conclusion after they would have made the representations. It is important to note that some officials leave during the investigation stages or once we initiate civil proceedings. Once they leave at that stage, we've got recourse in law, and we would either approach the relevant pension fund with a view to preserve the pension benefit of the relevant official or officials that are exiting the system. And we do so to ensure that by the time we complete the civil litigation process, which does take a bit of time, depending on the forum that we would have elected, by the time we are given an order to recover, we don't sit with empty court orders, that there's assets that we can tap in to recover the funds. But in the civil litigation processes, in some instances, people would have long left by the time we get to action or to even investigate. Those are cited, as I indicated, in the papers, and whatever order we obtain, they are individually and severally liable. And we do go and recover those monies. And we have recovered monies from those officials that would have caused financial losses to the state. And we've got a huge success rate in that regard. And this, I must stress, Honorable Chair and committee members, is an additional to other remedies that are available. In some instances, these former officials will be referred to their professional bodies, to their professional regulatory bodies, as was indicated by Advocate Motibi earlier on. Thank you. I'll stop there, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and thank you, Advocate Vanara. Now that's, and I'm glad you covered the professional side as well. So if, for example, you're a CFO and you're a CA, we'll deal with you as an individual and as a professional, refer you to SAICA, South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, so that they deal with you professionally as well. So that's the civil part, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. There's also the criminal side, by the way, where these former officials, the evidence would be uncovered that points to them as having committed criminal action. And in that regard, also, they are pursued. They are pursued to ensure that they also face criminal law consequences. Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. Just speedily, COO, Mr. Lekgetho, can you please appraise the Honorable Committee in terms of the resourcing of the investigations, just so that we don't drop the ball and we investigate effectively?
No, thanks, Advocate. And let me pass the greetings to the Honorable Chair
and to the honorable members and to the DG, the ministers, and everybody that is present in the platform. In terms of how do we resource ourselves as the SIU, as advocate is indicated that currently we've got a lot of proclamations that are being issued at a particular time, all of them. So that pose a challenge to us. As a result, it needed us to go back so that we can able to plan appropriately. Then in terms of the model that we use, in terms of investigation, we use the project base, where all our investigations are conducted in a project base, where we design a project plan, we allocate activity, we know who's doing what and what is supposed to do, when is the task coming to an end. That one enables us to be able to plan for the future because we know the resource is committed for a certain period of time, and when they are available, they can be allocated to another time. And in that instance also, we are able to allocate a resource to a Memorandum 2 project, whereby when they are waiting for the documents on the other side, they are able to do other work in the other project. So that's the project-based model that we are using in order to resource ourselves. So in terms of getting the resource, there are several ways that we are using in order to get the resource, because in terms of environment, agility is very key so that we are able to deliver in terms of the mandate and we don't waste time. So some of the process that we follow, the first one is that we do have an expert pool where we have put the pool in a database, whereby from time to time when we need certain resource immediately, we are able to go to that pool and able to get the resource. And in that way, as we know that in our process for a person to be appointed for SIU, you need to go through the vetting, you need to go through the screening. So in that way, the pool has already been screened, they are ready to be utilized as and when they are required. So in that way, it enables us to be able to get them quickly. The other way that we're doing, we are partnering with different institutions where we are getting the internship program. In that way, we are also capacitating so that we develop the skill in the field of forensic investigation, because we are looking forward so that at least we can have enough resources in the field. The other one, we also have a pool in terms of the supply chain management, where we go out in a tender process where we get the different company to be on standby, so that in some of the experts that we require, for example, engineer QS that needs to quantify the cost. Those pool, we put them in a pool. We go through the SCM, put them in a pool. That's when we require, we are able to access them quickly. Then in terms of getting the resource, also we're using the FTC, the contract. When investigation is going to run for a year, we are able to get the member for a year so that they can come and do the work that they're supposed to do. And once they are done, we are able to release them. In that way, they're able to push the investigation. Then the last one is a permanent way, where we recruit people permanently to be in the establishment of the SIU. So those are the different models at which we recruit people in terms of the resources. Thank you, Advocate.
No, thank you, Mr. Lekgetho. Honorable Chair, so that's really high level, the methodology that we use to resource, and these projects, we've got a very robust program or program management office. All these projects are loaded on the system, and they are being watched. They are being, well, the term is monitored. They have been monitored. We've got project management or project managers in various provinces. They are responsible to assist the provincial heads of investigations in monitoring the projects. If a project has been scheduled to be completed on a certain day, we don't want an overrun. But of course, in some instances, we do have, teams requesting extensions and so on, which we consider and then respond accordingly. Honorable Chair, I see that there's an honorable member that's got a hand up, but we can respond to the whistleblower part where Honorable Dlamini has asked how much of these investigations relies on whistleblowers. Mr. Sibe, can you please come in there? And then the systemic recommendations, if they've been made already.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, HOU. In terms of this investigation, Chairperson, we received the allegations through a referral from our current Minister, Honorable Minister Mamloko Kubai, in her previous role as the Minister of Human Settlements. But we do receive a number of allegations from our whistleblowers, and there is a process to protect them, as the HOU has already indicated. But in this instance, the allegations came as a referral directly from the department through the Office of the Minister. In terms of the reasons, there was a question around KZN not listed in our matters to be investigated. Chairperson, and I would like to clarify that KZN is listed. There are two municipalities, the Newcastle municipality and Alfred Duma municipality, are part of the listed matters to be investigated under the annexure. The only province that is not listed here is the Limpopo province. And as you would appreciate, Chairperson, our investigations are allegations-based. We receive allegations and then we process them. If there are no allegations, there will be no basis for us to investigate certain matters. And then the delays in submitting the information, the reports from HDA. Chairperson, at this moment, we cannot say there were delays per se. I think it was then their processes of collating information from their different offices that made them to delay the process, the submission process. Then on the issue of systemic recommendations, Chairperson has already indicated, we've made two observations at the moment. And these observations, we really are at an infancy stage of our investigation. And we would like to first look at the reasons, the rationale, everything else, complete the entire investigation, also get our own the evaluators to look at these pieces of land before we then make like concrete recommendations. But in essence, we will be making recommendations, and I can assure the committee that in the next 3 months would be in a position to at least advise on proper recommendations in terms of these instances. I think those were the only questions, Advocate Matibe, that I had to respond to. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Honorable Chair, as we stand down, I want to assure the honorable members, specifically the comment by Honorable Abadel, that accountability cannot wait for 2026. Every finding that we make pointing to anyone or any company, we make sure that it's actioned at the time. It doesn't wait until we conclude the investigation. I wanted to just emphasize that. Timely actioning of findings and referrals. So we have taken that account in that comment into account. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Advocate. Honorable members, we are not doing well on time. Honorable Frenchman. Honorable Frenchman.
Can you hear me? Mine is a quick one. I just want to know, once the SIU finishes the
video.
There we go. Once the SIU finishes the investigation and they have the report, who is then responsible for laying criminal charges? And then your report, is it available to the public Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Advocate.
Thank you, Honorable Frenchman, for those questions. In terms of the criminal actions, once the investigators of SIU have uncovered evidence pointing to any criminal action, we are the ones who refer that evidence to NPA. So, well, you could say we are the ones sort of reporting it. But we make sure that NPA follows through. NPA would then rope in the hawks so that a docket is prepared, and there would be all those required affidavit, the so-called A1, which means affidavit 1, in most instances is the complainant. So we do contribute to that, and we then follow through between ourselves, the Hawks, and NPA that there's traction in those matters, right? So, and in terms of the report, once we have completed the investigation, or even at an interim stage where we report, the law requires us to report and submit the report to the president. But you may be aware that the president has taken a decision, I think as way back as 2019, to make the reports public. That process is underway on the presidency side. But of course, the report can also be requested. If any individual would like access to this report, they are able to request it, then they can get it. We have also been permitted now. In terms of the law, the president is sort of the custodian of the reports. So we have said to the president, it is in the public interest that SIU also, reports publicly. So we are now, from now on, we started with the Tembisa report since we were permitted. Now we will be reporting publicly on various of these investigations. And this is a typical investigation that, of course, will attract and has attracted public interest. We will ensure that it is also reported publicly. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Advocate. And I think as members of the Portfolio Committee.
Mr. Poole's chair, Mr. Poole is on the platform.
Hey, honorable members. Yeah, Mr. Poole.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, allow me to not switch on my camera because while I'm driving at the moment. Chair, for the fact that SIU is investigation is based on allegations made in the different provinces. Now, my question is whether there was a province, how many referrals they come up with, and how many of that has turned into criminal cases per province. And yeah, that is my question, sir.
Thank you. Advocate.
Honorable Poole, thank you very much for the question. Honorable Chair and honorable members, you'd recall that in our presentation, there was a slide on findings and outcomes. At this stage, and Mr. Sibe, you can come in if there's findings already. At this stage, we have not made referrals yet. But what we will do, and when we appear next time, we will show how many criminal referrals were made from various provinces, and when were they referred to NPA, and what is it done with those referrals. And we know that there's a public call to make sure that prosecutions are implemented, executed. So at this stage, there hasn't been any specific finding in that regard. But the high-level observations that we have made, there will certainly be referrals in that regard. Mr. Siva, do you want to add?
No, I think I'm covered, HOU. Safe to say that we do have referrals for each province as per my presentation, that in the Northwest we had 32, in the Gauteng we had 25, in Free State we had 17, Western Cape 16, Northern Cape 5, KZN 2, Eastern Cape 2, Mpumalanga 2. The only office that we didn't have allegations was then the Limpopo province. Thanks, Chair.
No, thank you, Mr. Siva. Yes, those are the allegations, and the allegations will be investigated, evidence will be uncovered, and findings will be made. And as I say, there will certainly be evidence pointing to criminal action, which will be referred accordingly. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Advocate, and your delegation. We are really empowered as a portfolio committee, and we hope moving forward we'll receive regular reports so that we are able to oversight the process, because HDA is our entity. And we want to wish you the best. Like members have said, we fully support the investigation. And the HDA has also indicated that they will fully cooperate. Department has also indicated support and cooperation. Thanks very much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the day and the weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you don't mind, we will release you.
Okay, so, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Now I was able to hear you now.
You are in Limpopo, possibly.
There was a problem with the sound.
Thanks very much, Mr. Khanyawa. Thanks very much. Secretary, what is the next item?
Briefing by the department on the UN Habitat Agreement, Chair.
And after that, what's the next item?
Adoption of a report.
I think the briefing should not take long. We're really not doing well on time. I thought we'd be done by 12. DG, we're in your hands.
Thank you very much. May I, without much ado, invite Ms. Sindisiwe Ngongo, the DDG responsible for IGR, wherein the international relations in our department fall, to present on this matter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, DG. Good morning, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members, DG and colleagues. I will try and assist the committee in terms of time. Chair, if I may close my video. If I could be assisted with a presentation, I'll be on slide 3. Thank you very much. Our purpose is to brief the Portfolio Committee on the status on the process towards the establishment of the UN Habitat Country Office. Next slide. Chair, I'm taking the presentation as read. I will just elevate on slide number 4 the point that that UN Habitat is the United Nations agency that is mandated by the UN General Assembly to promote socially and environmentally sustainable towns and cities with a goal of providing adequate shelter for all. This is where we fit in as human settlements. And then the second bullet, just to elevate those bullets in terms of the programs that are included. I want to elevate the capacity building for people's housing process, which is our PHP, and also safer cities programs, where also Johannesburg has benefited, and city of eThekwini since 2008. On the next slide, Chair, we'll go to the last bullet, which talks to the point that through the partnership and support of UN Habitat, South Africa is recognized as a vocal champion of the agenda for the transformation and upgrading of informal settlements, and as a means for addressing poverty and provision of adequate housing for all. Next slide. The first bullet, we're talking now to the MOU between UN Habitat and South Africa, that in October 22, a Memorandum of Understanding was signed between UN Habitat and the Government of South Africa through the Department of Human Settlements, and this MOU is valid for a period of 5 years. The MOU provides for a framework of cooperation on matters related to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, known as SDGs, and the new urban agenda, Chair. And SDG calls for the development of cities and human settlements that are inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. The next point, Chair, talks to the newer, to the transformative commitments that are set out in the thematic areas that are indicated below, Chair. I might, maybe let me not go through them, but they are quite clearly. On the next slide, Chair, I will elevate bullet number 2, which indicates that the MOU makes provision for and is aligned to the human settlement sectorial priorities outlined in Chapter 8 of the National Development Plan 2030, the principles of the Housing Act, and also has been incorporated in our 2024 white paper for human settlements. And the areas of cooperation between South Africa and UN Habitat under the MOU are informal settlements upgrading and transformation, urban safety, capacity building and knowledge sharing, data and monitoring, well-planned public service spaces, and sustainable placemaking in spatial planning. On the next slide, Chair, I will elevate the second bullet that talks to the negotiations that we had. They took longer than anticipated, as they were largely on the 3 critical matters, which are the strategic and priority areas to be anchored in the country program to be implemented by the country office, and also elevate the last bullet, that the financial resources for the operationalization of the country office, we had to do some negotiations there as well. On the next slide, Chair, the first bullet indicates the strategic and priority areas of the country office that had to be determined through a consultative process with key stakeholders in the sector, which includes national departments, entities of the Department of Human Settlements, provincial departments, and SALGA. The final document then was adopted in September 2023, paving a way for the process to request cabinet approval for the establishment of the country office. The next bullet, Chair, I will elevate in the middle of that bullet that Cabinet approved the establishment of the UN Habitat Country Office in South Africa in March 2024. And pursuant to this approval, then the department engaged UN Habitat for further negotiations on 2 areas, which was 1, the host of the country agreement, and also the financial resources required associated with the operationalization of the country office. In the next slide, Chair, I will just elevate that in terms of our host country agreement, we had also to involve legal services, DECO obviously, in terms of ensuring that we are legally also compliant. If I can move on to slide number 11. The next slide. The next slide, I must indicate that the approval by National Treasury was received on the 24th of September 2024, and the country office to be in operation in the country for the period of 5 years. Chair, in terms of financial implications, as a country, we are fully responsible for the funding of the office for the said period. The last bullet indicates that upon the signing of the contribution agreement, the department then processed the documents for tabling the contribution and exchange of notes in terms of section 2313 as a technical agreement. And this tabling then was done in October this year. This is now tabling to Parliament. On the next slide, Chair, I want to elevate the second, the sub-bullet, last one, sub-bullet 2, which talks to now that the privileges and immunities applicable under the 1994 General Cooperation Agreement between the Republic of South Africa and the United Nations Development Programme will be conferred upon the UN Habitat Office, its property, assets, and funds. On the next slide, number 13, Chair, we are reporting the process in terms of the staffing. The staffing is the responsibility of UN Habitat. We are just indicating where they are at the moment. I will only elevate the first one, which talks to the program manager, who will be the head of the country office, that the interviews have been conducted on the 15th of October. We are in consultation with your UN Habitat, and they anticipating that this appointment would have been concluded by the end of this month, or they will actually appoint an acting person to head this office. This is quite critical for us because we've got funding that we need to transfer to them, and we cannot do so without having the head running that office. And we know that the time is within 5 years. You will also just look there, Chairperson, in terms of the positions, that there are some that are actually earmarked for South Africans. On the next slide, Chair, is the significance of the UN country office. The first bullet is talking to the implementation of urbanization policies and programs as a source of development across the rural, urban, divine human settlements. The second bullet also elevates the capacity through technical cooperation between national and international stakeholders in the human settlement sector. The third bullet also talks to the targeted resource mobilization from domestic and international partners. Cities have powerful systems of value creation and productivity, but they need investments in its infrastructure, land, and institutions to realize their potential and to ensure that value is captured. The next bullet, Chair, is that knowledge hub on informal settlements upgrading and transformation. That is also going to be the significant part of our country office. I can indicate here that, Chairperson, already with our consultation and collaboration with Kenya, we are finding that the way that we approach transformation of informal settlements is similar. The last bullet, Chair, talks to the establishment and the support initiatives that fulfill a more regional mandate and contribution to regional socio-economic development framework, especially in SADC region. This also comes at a time, Chair, where South Africa is preparing to take the chairmanship of SADC with effect from next year. And I must indicate that the department also is part and parcel on the preparation thereof. On the next slide, Chair, these are the financial implications. Financial implications that we are responsible for. Let me just indicate, Chair, that you will see that the MOU will expire in 2027, but then also the contribution agreement will go further to 2029. So we will then bridge that gap as we get closer to it, so that there is an alignment. Financial commitments is a $5 million. And then the department will be making five annual payments of $1 million, which is equivalent to 20 million per annum. Chair, if I can then move to the way forward on slide number 17. The country office then premises have already been identified and secured at the United Nations Development Program compound, which is in the CBD, and office requirements needs have been conducted by UN Habitat. And then also follow-up will be made on the regular basis with DECO, and also that UN Habitat will, during this month of November, second two South African consultants already working on special projects to facilitate the opening of the country office and pursue engagement with the department. And then, Chair, if I may then move towards conclusion in terms of our recommendations, that we recommend that the Portfolio Committee on Human Settlement notes the presentation on the status of the process towards the establishment of the UN Habitat Country Office. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, DTG. I think members are fully aware of the process. The Minister reported to the Speaker about this process. The Speaker referred it to us as a Portfolio Committee. And now we got a presentation from the National Department to clarify certain things. And it is for us to note the report. Are there questions, honorable members? Any question? Oh, there's no question. DDG, you have been very clear. Members don't have questions. Evan. Honorable Ditebe. Honorable Ditebe.
Chairperson, can you hear me?
No, you are.
Okay, let me take off these accessories, Chair, because they limit me somewhat.
I can't hear
you. Can you now, Chairperson?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, Chairperson, thank you very much to the DG, DDG, the entire team for the report. Chair, on a lighter note, I think I should be asking on behalf of Honorable Dlamini, when next are we going to the UN Habitat Conference? So
it still holds weight, even if it's your own question, Honorable Ditebe. Don't worry, it holds weight. You are a credible member of this committee. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, but there's lots of stuff there. I mean, if you look at the report. Just two quick things, Chair. The innovation hub for purposes of upgrading informal settlements, and I like the sharing of practices, experiences, good practices and experiences between ourselves and Kenya. Now, where does this take us? The Eric Mulobi Innovation Hub, for example, is there an expectation that it will be upgraded in line with the establishment of the office in South Africa? Yeah, that's one question, Chair. The other one relates to just in terms of the in what way. I know the Innovation Hub obviously is about alternative building technologies. Does the department foresee that front of ABTs, which we sorely need for purposes of eradicating informal settlement and lending dignity to our people, etc. Is there an anticipation with those consultants being seconded to the UN Habitat, etc., that we'll be able to up the ante so that with the aid of technologies, we can accelerate the delivery of units to our people in informal settlements and end all unnecessary occupation of land which results or which emanates from desperation on the part of the people. Thank you, Chair. Those are the two questions related somewhat. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Abada.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know, my camera's still not on. I don't know why, but anyway. Just a few, just give me a second. There we go. I don't know what's going on here. Here we go. My questions are, what concrete measurable community level outcomes are expected from this country office? And how will the department ensure that this does not become another expensive administrative structure with no direct impact on the lived realities of the poor? Why has a process initiated in 2022 taken more than 3 years, including extended negotiations, legal opinions, and administrative delays? And what accountability will be applied for the lack of urgency in a sector facing a national human settlements crisis? And then my comments would be, the department is committing significant financial resources to international structures while residents in informal settlements and unsafe buildings are still waiting for basic upgrading, proper sanitation, serviced land, and dignified housing. This exposes a serious disconnect between top-level diplomacy and ground-level suffering. The UN Habitat has previously supported South Africa through multiple programs, yet the same systemic failures persist: weak planning, slow upgrading, limited spatial transformation, and poor data management. Without internal reform, no external partner, no matter how prestigious, will fix the department's governance shortcomings. And lastly, the prolonged negotiation timeline, reliance on DIRCO's admin processes, and delays in issuing a simple note for bail reflect a bureaucracy incapable of executing even high-level agreements with urgency. This slow machinery directly undermines service delivery on the ground. And lastly, my recommendations: make the contribution conditional on annual measurable outputs, including informal settlement, upgrading metrics, urban safety improvements, and spatial transformation deliverables. No results, no transfer. And that's the bottom line, because I think a lot of times that's what happens. We pay upfront and then we don't get any deliverables. Strengthen oversight through the committee. As a portfolio committee, we should request quarterly reports on recruitment progress, expenditure breakdown, program implementation, and community level outcomes. This prevents the country office from becoming a symbolic structure with no tangible impact. The country office should prioritize informal settlement with extreme vulnerability, metros with chronic housing backlogs, areas affected by unsafe structures, building collapses, and poor spatial planning. This ensures the office is not another Pretoria-centric operation disconnected from where the crisis is. And lastly, a national moratorium must be placed on all new land purchases by HDA and provincial departments until a transparent, standardized, treasury monitored valuation and procurement process is implemented, with a clear recruitment that all land purchase must show development within a fixed time frame. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. DDG.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe let me respond firstly by indicating that the presence of the country office in the country, we will take full advantage of that and make sure that also we advance our own priorities as a country through this office for the various programs that we have that include also the transformation of informal settlements. And also, as we know, that also the transformation of informal settlements is part of our reporting through the new urban agenda. So also in that area, we are ahead of the many countries that are reporting on the new urban agenda. In terms of the legality, any agreement requires to have a legal, go through the legal system. So in this case, these are two countries whose legal expertise had to interrogate the agreement to make sure that it is legally sound. So we had to go through our legality as a country, as South Africa, and also UN Habitat. There was a bit of a delay through their system because their legal experts were sitting in New York, so they took a little bit of time. But any agreement, the point is that any agreement need to be legally sound. And in terms of the DECO processes, we don't have any other option when we enter into international agreements, but also to comply with our international requirements through DECO. In terms of how will the functioning of the office deliver on its mandate, Chair, we are already working on the steering committee that is going to drive the priorities and the deliverables through this office, of which they need to have an impact. We just need this formalization of the head of the country office by the end of this month, so that then we start with implementation. Chair, IBT capacity is one of the areas that will be elevated in this area, which also includes IBT, and also then it will be linked up with Eric Mulobi through the NHBRC in terms of how do we advance technology going forward as a country. Thank you.
DG, do you want to add?
Thank you very much. Let me just indicate that I think it's a bit unfair and without context to allege that we took or there is a failure at expeditiously finalizing the agreement. Other than the delays on the part of the United Nations in giving their comments and their blessings to the text of the agreement, the reality of the matter is that we have relatively been very fast in conclusion of this agreement. It took the country 5 years to finalize negotiations with the EU agreement. It took us 6 years to finalize on the African Free Trade Continental Agreement. It took even longer on other subsets of sub-country agreements. And I'm saying that with just 3 years to finalizing this, actually less than 3 years, finalizing the agreement with UN Habitat of such a magnitude for establishment of a country office, considering that most of the processes are dependent on what TDG Nongo points out to being a DERCO. I think we have done relatively well, and I don't think that there was lethargy at all in the process that we undertook in this regard. It is in the nature of this type of agreements that it's not a contract that you negotiate with some company and within 2 weeks you are done. But there's a lot of back and forth, and even them in their own configuration of what would then be the core of that country office is dependent on a series of protracted negotiations on what to include, what they can be able to deliver on, what they would not be able to deliver on, what is desirable in our own agenda, and balancing those interests and ensuring that we come to some form of agreement in terms of our interest being catered for as a country in hosting such a country office, and what then programmatic offshoots we benefit from relative to that. And I think we have relatively done well, even post the signing of the agreement and the finalization of all the logistics relative to that was quite done expeditiously, and even our tabling in Parliament was done quite expeditiously. So I would not understand the background and the context that says we are just doing this and there was a lot of lethargy into it. I respectfully disagree, Chair. Then, in as far as the issue of being a total disconnect with the needs of the poor, and us just building an edifice of administration for nothing, I also respectfully disagree with that viewpoint, primarily because we are doing the country office. The portfolio committee had challenged us to elevate and to enhance our capacity in as far as informal settlements delivery is. And I can recall the words of the chair are still ringing in his conclusion to the time we came to brief the committee about the informal settlements upgrade program and what the chair had indicated to us. This is exactly what the portfolio committee say we must do. Gather the expertise that our country would most likely pay much more than what we are paying now if we were to try build those expertise within the department. But because the UN has all of this expertise and it can pull resources from all over the world and with ease and without burdening us with a lot of administrative processes inclusive of getting work permits for experts and all of the people that take inordinately long time and delays in getting those expertise in the country and to collaborate with those expertise, and who would then come on to charge us as consultants and would end up paying much more than what we are paying now in terms of the hosting of the country office, at which those expertise would be closed under the Geneva Convention and would have diplomatic privileges, and the speed with which they can be deployed and the speed with which we can access such expertise in a broad range of areas, but primarily our key focus as a country has been around the area of informal settlements upgrade and what lessons we can draw from all those countries that are dealing with this problem, and the working groups that UN Habitat can easily facilitate on our behalf, and the pooling of the resources becomes a key fundamental benefit directly to the work of the department, including that has direct impact on the poor. So, Chair, on that basis, we just wanted to record that we do not agree with the observations of Honorable Abada in as far as this matter is concerned. Thank you very much.
There's a question by Honorable Duterte. When is the next conference?
2026, Chair.
2026.
Azerbaijan.
Okay. Honorable Duterte, is that a legacy and or a new one?
It's a new one, Chairperson. Thank you very much for reminding DG.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Chairperson, just a quick follow-up. It being a 5-year contract, so to speak, does the department envisage that this can be extended based on its assessment and obviously our own assessment of the benefits that would have accrued to South Africa, given its huge legacy of homelessness, landlessness, etc.? Is this meant to be a once-off or something that can be extended? And may I also say, Chairperson, that I think at a time when the 47th President of the United States has assumed the posture of a madman in relation to anything and everything, be it bilateral relations with other countries or multilateralism, or even the United Nations as a body, having a specialized agency such as UN Habitat of the United Nations at a time when President of the United States and his administration are all balking at the whole idea of multilateralism, particularly issues of inclusion, equity, sustainability, solidarity, etc. I think we should be thinking of using this to our advantage, but also, Chair, to provide hope to other countries in the continent of Africa through the African trade, a continental free trade mechanism or area, particularly focusing on human settlements, because such things as water and sanitation and municipal infrastructure are of critical importance. Although in respect of this, the focus obviously would be people that live in informal settlements. How best do we ensure that we leave none of them behind? We all know that in this committee we are at the moment wrestling with the PI Act issue, and clearly at the heart of it is the whole issue of people in informal settlements and the ideological posturing on the part of some among us within the country to try and consign those people to oblivion. So I think this is a very important body, but obviously one that we will have to do oversight on through the department in terms of what Cabinet has approved. That amount of money, the $660,000, 3 million, and the $5 million, 20 million rand. So it's money that we need to ensure that it's well spent. There's value for money in respect of that. Other than that, Chairperson, I think it's a very good thing. Thank you very much to the DG, the Minister, DG, and team. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. DG?
Chair, just to indicate that currently, as we are presenting, we're only rolling out. So the possibility of an extension is not yet on our cards. But of course, dependent on performance of the UN habitat and the benefits we derive out of it, if we think are immense, and we have tried to congest the program so that what we seek to benefit out of them is within the 5 years that the Treasury has approved and supported us on to go to Cabinet. That currently we have no resources that we can speak of post the 5-year period, but nevertheless, should it be warranted and should it be considered based on a performance review, we are then agreed that it's a matter we can toss it before Cabinet for its consideration of a possibility of an extension. Secondly, we agree with Honorable Ditaba's observations that having multilateral institutions and specialized bodies like the UN Habitat in our country would only serve not only our foreign policy extensions, but it will also serve the interest of what we are trying to do from a human settlements point of view, and that this we should embrace fully. And we are in lock, stock, and barrel in making sure that it succeeds. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. I would suggest that DG and DDG, once the office is fully capacitated in terms of personnel and so on, maybe there might be a need to immediately come and workshop the MOU with the portfolio committee so that we are on the same level. Some of us might be seeing it as just an office where we pay rent and so on, just to take members through the benefits of this office and the money we're paying vis-a-vis the benefits that will derive from this office. I think Secretary put that on the radar so that we're able to, early next year, somewhere March, April, we're able to workshop this document so that members can understand it better. Yeah. And for now, Honorable Abada, one would not support the view that we put a moratorium on the acquisition of land. I think we're complaining that we need land to to develop. So if we put a moratorium now because of the investigation, it's a problem, because this, especially on HDA, because some of this land is not with HDA, it is with municipalities. That's why SIU is investigating. In most cases, it will not be the problem of HDA, but the problem of provinces and municipalities. Thanks very much. I think we're done with that item, with that resolution, that we might need a workshop of some sort so that honorable members are empowered and they know what is it that they are oversighting. Can we go to the next report quickly? I think it's the last. You are released, DG, with your delegation in case you want to leave.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you to members as well.
Secretary? Can we also take the report as read?
Can you see the report, Chairperson?
Continue. Yes, we can see it.
Okay. This is the report of the attendance or the oversight visit to the Helen Bowman building, which was renamed as Ahmed Khattada House, on Friday, 14th November 2025. The purpose, as you said, must take it as read. So let me just quickly go to the recommendations, Chair. Based on the presentations and observations made, the committee recommends that the Minister, through the Department of Human Settlements, should meet with the leadership of the Ahmed Khattada House to discuss the plight of the residents, convene a meeting with the province and the city of Cape Town and the unlawful occupants before the month of November 2025 to understand the issues affecting them and provide a report to the committee. It was further recommended that in that meeting, the matter of communique should form part of the agenda. Suspend the evictions of the AKH residents until there are discussions on the way, explore refurbishment cost with the provincial department, and an alternative tenure arrangements for the occupants, profile the residents together with the City of Cape Town and the leadership of the AKH, clarify the status of the SABC building together with the Housing Development Agency, and also that Ndifunokwazi and Reclaim the City leadership should conduct numeration and profiling of the occupants and submit a written proposal outlining priorities, e.g. electricity security and long-term development, to the committee. Ndifunokwazi to present their work generally to the committee in the next term report to be considered. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Secretary. There's the report, honorable members. I know some of us were not there. Honorable Poole, Honorable Frenchman, Honorable Magagula, Honorable Khakilwe. Honorable Dutebe. Or is it an old hand? Okay.
No, Chair. No, it's.
Come on. We can't hear you.
Chair, it's a new one. Sorry, just something I want to ask. I wasn't there. I cannot adopt the report because I wasn't there. But I just want to ask something based on what has been read. When you recognize me, Chair, thank you.
Yeah, you can continue.
Yeah, Chairperson. I think the intent is well captured. The Funugwazi must enumerate the occupants, etc. But I think what we should do, or rather should say, is that the Funugwazi must help to monitor from a civil society perspective, the enumeration process. Because the enumeration, if, for example, there is agreement that the building gets repurposed for resettling people there or accommodating them, assuming that that will be done, say, by the HDA. The HDA together with the CT must do the enumeration, because those are the lawful bodies that must do it. I'm just saying that I know what is meant by the Funukwazi must enumerate the number of occupants, but I'm saying just legally, I think we must just rephrase it so that we define the role for Ndifunukwazi, because it's a civil society organization, and HDA and the CT are organs of state. So I thought I should just put that in perspective. If members are of a different view in terms of my understanding and interpretation of the legal obligation of those, then perhaps I will be advised, Chair. We've just, as you know, finished our meeting with the SIU, and you would have heard them say that they are interested in knowing why is it that the HDA seemed to have abandoned or abdicated its legal and constitutional responsibility in some of the cases that they are investigating. I'm saying it in that context, Chair, just with the benefit of hindsight. But you'll guide me, Chairperson. Thank you, and members.
Thanks very much. I think it's well understood. Honorable Abada.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, I can't adopt or second on the report because I wasn't there, but I see that communique is also a part of this. Now, I know in our last meeting with communique, we came to I'm not sure if it's a resolution, but we said that all evictions and threats and all of that must be halted, until the investigation is done. But to my understanding, people are still being sent letters, they're still being threatened. So I have a concern that communique is also part of this. I don't know what their involvement here is, but like I'm saying, from everything else, they are still involved, and tenants are still receiving letters of eviction, and they being threatened as well. So on the same matter, has anything come to us that this can be put into place where the tenants are not being evicted? So yeah, that's my question, Chair. Thanks.
I think the purpose was, remember when we were discussing communique, the DG said, as a department, they will convene a meeting between the National Department of Human Settlements, the Provincial Department, City of Cape Town, to talk about what is happening in communique, because we took a resolution that eviction must be halted. Here, in this case, Ahmed Kathrada House, we were not reported of evictions, but residents were fearing that that evictions might be coming. So we're saying, as the DG discusses the issue of communique to halt evictions, this must also be brought on board. The Ahmed Kathrada House issue must also be part of that meeting, so that if there is an intention to evict residents there, they also be halted. I think that's the context.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay. Honorable Kgakile.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning or good afternoon. Good morning, honorable members. Chairperson, let me thank Siskoliso for this report. I think it has covered almost everything, and all the misunderstanding you have clarified them, Chairperson. And with regard to the issue, enumeration, it's true we agreed we resolved as members who were there, that the leadership of Ndifunukwasi and Reclaim the City, because they could not provide us with the list. In their report, they said 428 residents. Well, they wanted to say 4 to 8 units. So we advised them that they must have a profile, and that profile is going to be available to the committee as well as to the city, especially when we meet with all of them to discuss everything. And then the other thing with regard to the attendance of the support staff, I'm not sure if I missed something, but I think Tsepo was stuck somewhere because of the flight challenges we had. I only saw Siskoliswa and Casey. And then with those remarks, Chair, I will then propose that we adopt this report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Indeed, Tsepo and Selina were not part of the visit. I think it must be corrected. There is a move for the adoption. Honorable Makagula.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning. I do second to suspect with those amendments. Thank you.
There is a second for the adoption of the report with those inputs, starting from the input by Honorable Ditebe, Honorable Abada, Honorable Kakakilwe, and the clarifications that may have been given. The report is adopted. Next item.
Closure, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. When is our next meeting, Secretary?
Next meeting is on next Wednesday, Chair. Meeting with the provinces.
Next
on the readiness for the coming rainy season and floods, disasters, and all that, Chair.
Okay. Which provinces are those, coastal or inland?
It's a mixed, Chairperson, because according to the DDG responsible for that item, she said there are those provinces with that has a copter within in one department, so those are ready to present, and the others. So it's a mix of provinces. It's not coastal or inland.
Okay. There it is, members. Last week or one Wednesday, Secretary announced about the Brazil. What is the intention? And I think based on the recommendation or suggestion by Makazi, Kenya will be the next station after Brazil. Last week we experienced heavy rains, especially in the inland provinces, and I'm told in Northwest, they experienced some disasters as a result of that, Northwest and Gauteng, and to an extent in Mpumalanga. So next 2 Wednesdays, next Wednesday and the Wednesday after, we'll be meeting provinces to check on their readiness with regard to disasters, because whilst we thought disaster happens only in coastal provinces, but inland provinces said no, we are also experiencing disasters. And indeed, what we saw in Northwest is a case in point. So those are the issues that we'll be discussing next week and the week after next. We'll meet part of the provinces next week and the remainder a week after next.
And also, Chair, sorry, we will also be discussing the issue of centralization of that fund that is responsible for disasters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks very much. The department will brief us on that in that regard. Thanks very much, honorable members. I think we made it on time to be able to release those who requested to be released at 12. Enjoy the rest of the day and your weekend.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Titebe.
Okay, thanks, Bali. Bye.
Have you passed the Honorable Damini?
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, members.
Honorable Damini. Oh, she's gone.
Yeah, no, I support her on the Kenya one, Chair. That's very consistent with the UN Habitat
Recording
Office.
stopped.
The country.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.